Welcome to Tennessee's at-home learning series for math. Today's lesson is for all our 7th graders out there, though all children are welcome to tune in. This lesson is the 20th in our series. My name is Kayla Anderson, and I'm an 8th grade math teacher at Rocky Fork Middle School in the Rutherford County School District. I'm so excited to be your teacher for this lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. If you haven't seen our previous lessons, you can find them at www.tn.gov/education. That's also where you can find the student packet that will contain materials from today's lesson. If you haven't seen any of our previous lessons, you can still tune in today, but it might be more fun if you first go back and watch the other lessons, since we'll be discussing material that we reviewed previously. Before we get started, to participate fully in today's lesson, you will need paper, pencil, a surface to write on, the optional student handout, and you may want a calculator as well. Okay, let's begin. Can you picture a box or a cube for me? What about a prism? Well, if you don't know what a prism is, it's okay. We will explore a variety of prisms today. The definition of a prism is a solid geometric figure whose two end faces are similar, equal, and parallel rectilinear figures, and whose sides are parallelograms. From our previous lessons, we have reviewed how to calculate the area of various simple figures. Please copy down this table. It contains the area formulas of these simple shapes, and it will be helpful throughout the lesson. So I will pause for you to copy down this table. Keep in mind that as we've used these formulas before, you can use a B for base, an H for height, an S for side, an L for length, a W for width, and an R for radius. This table will be very helpful as we solve for volume of various cubes and prisms. Before we begin, let's define what volume is. Volume is the amount of space that a substance or object occupies or that is enclosed within a container. We measure volume in cubic units. I want you to picture your box again. Do you have it? Good. The amount of air that is inside of the box is known as the volume. You can also think about this as a cup of water. The cup is very close to a circular prism, also known as a cylinder, and the water inside would be the amount of volume that cup can hold. When naming our various prisms today, the first word will be the shape of the base. For instance, I just called a cylinder a circular prism. That means that the base is a circle, and prism means that its sides are the same and parallel. What does parallel mean? Yep, parallel means that those sides will not touch. All right, let's go ahead and look at some examples. Bradley's tent is in the shape of a triangular prism. It has the dimensions as the one shown below. How many cubic feet of space are in his tent? Well, in order to calculate the volume or the cubic feet of space inside of Bradley's tent, or for any prism, we have to use the formula volume equals BH. B is the area of the base, and H is the height. You're probably going to want to write that formula down, and you may want to note what these two things mean as well, because we'll be using this formula as we solve problems today. Okay, The problem tells us that Bradley's tent is what kind of shape? Right, a triangular prism. Okay, well, since it's a triangular prism, what shape will the base of this prism be? Right, it's going to be a triangle. From the diagram, the tent will be sitting on a rectangle. However, when we're calculating the volume, the first word of what the object is tells the reader what the shape of the base is. So because this is the first word, we know it's a triangular prism. According to our formula, we need to calculate the area of the base. Remember, that's what B stands for here. Use your table to find the area formula for a triangle and go ahead and write it down for this problem. Well, the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Notice that this capital B is what we used in our volume formula and that it meant area of base. And since our base is a triangle, we need to find the area of a triangle, which can be given to us through 1/2 base times height. Okay, the base of this triangle is different from the base we are using for volume. So when we're talking about volume, this capital B, this base, is the entire triangle. Whereas here, when we're talking about the base of the triangle, it's a specific measurement. So when you look at our picture, what do you think the base of the triangle is, which is what we're going to substitute for B here? You're right, it's the 6 feet. Okay, in order to calculate the area of this triangle, though, we also need to find the height of the triangle. So what do you think the height of this triangle is? Yep, the height is this 4 feet. So since you know the base length and the height length, go ahead and solve for the area on your paper, and I'll pause while you do that, and then we can check answers. Okay, so we said that the base is 6 feet and the height is 4 feet. So doing some multiplication here, 6 times 4 is 24, and half of 24 is 12. So did you get 12 square feet for the area of the triangle? Awesome. Let's keep going to find the volume of Bradley's tent. Remember that the formula for volume of a prism is volume equals B times H, where capital B is the area of the base and H is the height of the prism. So we just calculated that the area of the base was 12 square feet. So what do you think the height of this prism right here is going to be? Yep, it is the 9 feet. So maybe you can picture the tent standing on the triangle section and seeing that 9 feet is how tall it would be. So why don't you go ahead and finish solving for the volume. Remember that volume units are cubic units. You can use a calculator here if you need to. Go ahead and do this on your paper, and then we'll check answers. Okay, so if volume equals capital B times H, and the area of the base was 12 square feet, and the height is 9 feet. Sorry, folks. Then when we multiply those together, we find out that the volume of Bradley's tent is 108 cubic feet. So there is 108 cubic feet inside Bradley's tent. All right, guys, good job. Let's try another one. So this next one's a little bit different. Here it is. A restaurant buys a freezer in the shape of a rectangular prism. The dimensions of the freezer are shown. What is the volume of the freezer? Well, remember that in order to calculate the volume or the cubic feet of space inside the freezer or any prism, we have to use the formula volume equals capital B times H. And remember that B, capital B here, is the area of the base. Just like in our last one, the base was a triangle and we found the area of that triangle. And H is the height. Okay, so the problem tells us that the freezer is what kind of shape? Yeah, it says it's a rectangular prism. Okay, well, since it's a rectangular prism, what shape is the base going to be? Yeah, it's going to be a rectangle. So according to our formula, we need to calculate the area of the base, and we just said that the base is going to be a rectangle. So use your table to find the area formula for a rectangle and go ahead and write it down for this problem. Okay, so the area formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width. I use the cursive L here so that I don't think that that L is a 1. If that's helpful, you can do that. So according to the diagram, what are the length and width of this rectangle? Yeah, this rectangle is a 72.5 inch by 24.5 inch rectangle. So there are the dimensions, the length and the width for that. Since you know the length and the width of the rectangle, go ahead and solve the area of the rectangle. I'll pause while you do that, and then we can compare our answers. All right, so we said area equals length times width. So this is a 72.5 by 24.5 inch rectangle. So you're welcome to use your calculator for this if you have it. You should have multiplied those two numbers together, and I hope that you got 1,776 and 2,500 square inches. Remember, the area is in square units. Okay. So I hope that you got that, but we don't have the volume of this rectangular prism yet. We have the area of the base. We don't have the entire volume. So think back to our formula, which is that the volume of a prism is the area of the base times the height of the prism. Well, we know the area of the base. It's what we just calculated, and it was 1,776 and 25 hundredths. Okay, but now we need to know what is the height of the prism. So taking a look at your rectangular prism, which of those numbers is your height? It is 36 inches. So go ahead and finish solving this problem for the volume. Remember that volume units are cubic units. Again, remember you can use your calculator if you need it. Go ahead and do that on your paper, and then we'll check our answers together. Okay, so we said that the height was 36 inches. So we now need to multiply the area of the base times the height to get the volume of this prism. So did you get 63,945? Great. So there are 63,945 cubic inches inside of the freezer. Okay, let's look at another problem. Joe built a cardboard ramp for his little brother's toy cars. Identify the shape of the ramp and calculate the volume. Well, the first thing that this problem asks us to do is to identify what shape the ramp is. So what shape do you think this one is? I hope you said that this one is a triangular prism. Okay, so if this shape is a triangular prism, then what does that mean? What shape is the base of this prism going to be? You're right, it's going to be a triangle. So remember from our previous two problems that if we're going to calculate the volume, which is the cubic feet of space inside, and if we're going to find that volume for any prism, then we need the formula volume equals capital B times H. And remember that capital B is the area of the base, and the H is what? Yep, h is the height. Cool. So the base here is in the shape of a triangle since it's a triangular prism. So if we're going to find the volume, we need to find the area of the base. So look back at your chart from earlier if you need it and write down what the area formula for a triangle is. Start there. Okay, so the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so now if we look at the diagram, what is the distance for the base of the triangle? Yeah, it's this 25 inches right here. And then what is the height of this triangle? Yep, it's this 6 inches right here. So go ahead and calculate the area of the triangle now that you know the length of the base and the length of the height, and then we'll check. Okay, so filling in our formula here, we've got 1/2. We said that the base is 25. We said that the height is 6. So 1/2 of 6 is 3. 3 times 25 gives me 75 square inches. Did you get that for the area of the triangle? All right, now remember all that's left to find for the volume. All that we have to do for the volume now is to take the area of that base and multiply by the height of the prism. So referring back to your diagram, what would be the height of the prism? Yep, it's going to be that 7 inches along the right side of this diagram. So go ahead and finish finding the volume. And then remember that you can use your calculator if you need it. And then we will check answers. Okay, so going back to this formula of the area of the base times the height, we said that the area of the base, which was the area of that triangle, was 75 square inches multiplied by a height of 7 inches, which gives you a volume of 525 cubic inches. So the volume of the ramp is 525 cubic inches. Okay, let's try another one. Alex made a sketch for a homemade soccer goal he plans to build. The goal will be in the shape of a triangular prism. The legs of the right triangles at the sides of his goal measure 4 feet and 8 feet, and the opening along the front is 24 feet. How much space is contained within this goal? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about and reread the problem so that you have all of the information in your head before we continue on. Okay, so let's figure out this problem. So the first thing we need to know is what shape does the problem say that the goal is going to be in? Yeah, this one is a triangular prism. Okay, so what shape is the base of this prism going to be then? Right, it's going to be a triangle. So go back to the problem and see if you can find out what the dimensions of the triangle are. Okay, so the problem says that the base of the triangle will be 4 feet in length and that the height of the triangle will be 8 feet in length. 4 feet and 8 feet. So since you're calculating the volume, you're going to need the area of the base and the height. Remember, volume equals the area of the base times the height. We've been talking about that for the entire lesson. And so I'm going to give you a minute to figure out what equation you need in order to calculate the area of the base, to go ahead and write that equation down and solve to find the area of the base, and then we will check that together. All right, so we need to find the area of the base here. Well, the base is a triangle, so the area is going to be 1/2 base times height. So when you refer back to the problem, we know that this triangle is 4 by 8. And so we're going to do some multiplication here, and 1/2 of 4 is 2 times 8 is 16. So the area of the base, which is that triangle, is going to be 16 square feet. Okay, now go back to the problem and figure out how tall is the prism going to be. So that would be this h in our formula here. So what is that number going to be? Yep, it's 24 feet tall. So now that you know the area of the base and you know the height of the prism, go ahead and finish this problem out. Use your calculator if you need to, and then we will come back together and check your answer. Okay, so because we know that the area of the base is 16 square feet, that's what we just figured out a second ago for our triangle, and the height is 24 feet, we're going to multiply those two together, and I hope that you came up with 384. Oh, that should be cubed, sorry. So the volume of Alex's goal will be 384 cubic feet. All right, guys. So here is another problem for us to try. A company is designing a juice box. The box is in the shape of a rectangular prism. The base of the box is 6.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and the box is 4 inches high. What is the total volume of juice that the box can hold? So I want you to go ahead and reread the problem. I'm going to let you work on this problem for somewhere around a minute or two to get as far as you can in the solving process, and then I will come back and see how you did. So go ahead and get started on that. All right, guys, it's been about a minute and a half. Let's see how you did. So the problem tells us that the box is in the shape of a rectangular prism. So I hope that you figured out that a rectangle is going to be the base of the box. So when we're doing volume equals the area of the base times the height, the base in this case is a rectangle. So we need to find the area of that rectangular base. The formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width. When you go back to the problem here, we know that this rectangle is a 6.5 by 2.5 rectangle. Multiplying those two numbers together, I hope that you got 16 and 26 hundredths square inches. So That is the area of the base. But in order to find the volume, remember that we need this formula and we need to multiply the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base that we just found there was 16 2600ths multiplied by the height of this rectangular prism, which is 4 inches. It tells us it's 4 inches high. So multiplying those two numbers together, hopefully you came up with, oh, I have made a mistake. That should be 16 2500ths. My fault, folks. 16 2500ths, not 16 2600ths. There we go. So now when we multiply 16 2500ths times 4, hopefully you came up with 65 cubic inches. So that means that this box could hold 65 cubic inches worth of juice. Awesome job. Great work today, 7th grade. We don't need that additional problem. Today we worked on solving for volume in triangular and rectangle prisms. You sure did a great job. After the video, you will have some problems to practice on your own. I'm showing you those problems now, or you can find them in the student practice for this lesson posted on the website www.tn.gov/education. Good luck and do your best. All right, 7th grade, I enjoyed reviewing solving for volume and various three-dimensional figures with you today. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. I look forward to seeing you for our next lesson in Tennessee's At Home Learning series. Bye!